You know how in Snowpiercer, all the people who lived at the back of the train, the only thing they had to eat every single day was those, like, protein bars that turned out to just be actually cockroach paste? Imagine if you had been eating just that for years, and then somebody gave you a bag of Skittles. That is what reading this comic feels like. Howdy, I'm Kurt Williams, and today we're looking at issue 1 of Redcoat by Geoff Johns and Bryan Hitch. This is one of 3 titles that represent the first wave of Ghost Machine comics, and I am super excited about everything Ghost Machine is doing. They've got great creators with lots of experience telling these great stories, and if you haven't read Ghost Machine issue 1, where it has previews of a lot of their upcoming issues, you should go and grab it because there's something there for everybody. This series in particular I wasn't entirely enthusiastic about when I first heard about it because this era of American history is not really an aesthetic that I've always loved, but when I read the preview in Ghost Machine issue 1, I was pretty excited about it, and after reading issue 1 in its entirety, I am blown away. It's great. It's a really great comic. If you've been reading the series Geiger by Geoff Johns and Gary Frank and you thought that that was a little bit boring, maybe a little bit dry for your taste, this series does not have that problem. It's very colorful dialogue. It's engaging, it's witty, it's quick, it's great. So we're following this character Redcoat, whose real name is Simon Pure, and he's got this really great origin story that I don't want to spoil for you, but anyways, he ended up being immortal, and that came with some side effects, but that's another thing I'll let you find out for yourself. He's working as a mercenary, which means that he makes a lot of enemies, so he keeps finding himself dead, but he comes back to life because he's immortal. So he gained immortality in 1775 during the American Revolution, and for this story we're skipping ahead over 100 years to 1892. And most of this issue is spent getting to know the main character. We see his origin story, and we see what kind of typical troubles he runs into, what kind of a person he is, and at the end of the issue he makes a new friend and some very old enemies of his resurface, leaving us with a pretty good cliffhanger. One of my favorite things about this series is that it has real historical figures weaved throughout the fiction of the story, such as Paul Revere and John Hancock and Benjamin Franklin and even Albert Einstein. So it has real historical figures dealing with secret American history, which is like perfect bait for me. It follows in the footsteps of series like Manifest Destiny and Manhattan Projects, other series that have historical figures doing crazy secret American history stuff. It's like National Treasure meets Planetary. It's just great work. I think it's really exciting that we get to see a 13-year-old Albert Einstein in this series. It does involve Einstein being in America 40 years too early, but I think we can accept that as secret history if we can accept the other stuff as secret history as well. Bryan Hitch's work is just amazing. He's one of the masters of the industry. If anybody can do it, Bryan Hitch can. Admittedly, I haven't always been his biggest fan. I think that some of his older stuff especially had this weird trend where people's arms looked almost detached from their torsos, and their torsos in general seemed a little bit too rectangular. But I was not trained as an artist, so I don't know if he's just making more anatomically correct choices for characters than other artists who choose style or aesthetic beauty over the real mechanics of the human body. I don't know. One way or another, that's not present in this issue. Every single pose is supernatural, it looks very fluid, there's a real strength to his poses, and the sense of depth in every single panel is masterful, to say the least. I think it's an odd choice for the main character to still be wearing a red coat during the American Revolution and for 100 years after the Revolution. He's still wearing that coat. And I get that that's his costume and even his namesake, but of all the wardrobe choices to make, it's hard to think of a less problematic one for him to choose. I guess he is pretty poor, so maybe it's his only jacket he's ever had, and he is also canonically stupid, so maybe he's just not smart enough to get a different jacket. It just seems silly, that's all. I'm looking at the origin scene right now, and I just have to say again, this is a great origin. It feels so smooth and natural, and the art is just gorgeous. This is some really groundbreaking stuff. This is the product of a bunch of creators at the top of their game, and I cannot recommend it enough. Even aside from wanting to support Ghost Machine as an independent project, the merit of this issue alone is enough to make me really excited about it. So I'm going to give issue 1 of Redcoat easily a 9 out of 10. I also read the new issue 1s of Geiger and Rook Exodus, and those were pretty good as well, but this is the one that I was most excited about. So if you haven't read it, go out and get yourself a copy. You won't regret it. It's one of the best comics coming out right now. And if you did read it, what do you think?